Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents And If I Perish, Frontline U.S. Army Nurses in World War II, by Evelyn M. Monahan and Rosemary Neidel-Greenlee, narrated by Susan Ericksen. I will go, and if I perish, I perish. The Book of Esther, Chapter 4, Verse 16. Introduction. This book is about the women who served on the front lines of World War II as U.S. Army nurses. It contains first-hand eyewitness accounts of life lived close to and often within the line of fire by female World War II veterans who served in hospitals in combat zones throughout the European and Mediterranean theaters of war, from the first D-Day in North Africa through the campaigns in Italy and France to VE Day in Germany. We, the authors, have had the privilege to record these women's stories in the last decade of the last century, 50 years after the war, while some were still alive to tell their tales. For many of you listening to this book, this may be the first time you've ever heard that women served anywhere near or in the combat zones of World War II. This ignorance is not hard to understand, since for decades after the war, these Army nurses were largely ignored. As strange as this may seem today, no one kept records of these women. Not the military, not the U.S. Veterans Administration, nor any historical society. After their return from the war, women veterans were not allowed membership in veteran groups such as the American Legion and the Veterans of Foreign Wars. Many of the women did not speak about their experiences to anyone. Few attended reunions. No one asked them about what happened. School books did not mention their service. Newspapers, books, radio, film, and television all but overlooked them. As the last century was drawing to a close, World War II's Army nurses, who they were, why they volunteered for the front, what they endured, how much they gave to the cause, were destined to be lost to history. This is where we came in. In 1985, Rosemary Neidel-Greenlee was appointed the first Women Veterans Coordinator, a collateral position at that time at the Veterans Administration Medical Center, VAMC, in Atlanta. She quickly formed a Women Veterans Committee at the medical center. In 1987, Evelyn Monahan was appointed Women Veterans Coordinator for the VA Regional Office in Atlanta. With the 50th anniversary of World War II fast approaching, we asked the directors of the VAMC and the VA Regional Office in Atlanta to co-sponsor the first national salute to women veterans of World War II. All three, the Atlanta Chamber of Commerce Military Affairs Task Force, the VAMC Atlanta, and the VA Regional Office, agreed to support the effort to recognize women veterans of World War II. It now remained for us to find these women. We hit on the idea of advertising a call in several magazines that have large readerships of veterans: the Retired Officers Magazine, VFW Magazine, the Disabled American Veterans Magazine, American Legion Magazine, Purple Heart Magazine, and the Delta Sky magazine. The magazines agreed to publish, within advertisements announcing the upcoming 1989 National Salute to Women Veterans of World War II, a request to women veterans and their families and friends to contact us via a post office box. The response we got was overwhelming. We were shocked when, about a week after the first announcement appeared in spring 1989, the U.S. Post Office contacted us to say they had approximately 1,000 letters waiting for us. We had to pick them up at a loading dock in the back of the post office. We brought the boxes of letters home and began to read them. They contain sentences such as, "It's about time someone paid attention to the women veterans of World War II. It's great to finally get to tell our stories. I'm enclosing the names of women I served with so you can contact them, too." By the end of the summer, we had received more than 100,000 letters from women who had served in the military during World War II, their husbands, families, friends, or even their former boyfriends. With a team of 30 volunteers to help, mostly former military women from World War II and the Korean War, we sent out questionnaires to the women who inquired about the National Salute. Like the response to the announcements in the veterans magazines, the 4-page questionnaires streamed back to Atlanta bearing the facts and stories of women who had volunteered to serve their country during World War II. We used these letters and questionnaires to telephone the respondents and interview them about their experiences. The first woman, a former World War II Army nurse who had been a prisoner of war in a Japanese internment camp in the Philippines, asked us, "Do you really want to hear this? No one has ever asked before." Our answer was a firm absolutely. With those words, we began a journey of more than 12 years to contact, interview, record, and make known the history and personal experiences of the women of the greatest generation who served in our country's armed forces during World War II. As we listened and talked with these unrecognized heroes of the war, we became more and more convinced that what these women endured and the spirit in which they bore their burdens was a national treasure that had to be told to the American people and the world they helped to liberate and keep free. On 28 October 1989, more than 800 women veterans of World War II traveled to Atlanta to attend the first national salute to women veterans of World War II. During the 3-day event, women veterans went to reunions of the various branches of the armed forces, visited with each other, were interviewed by local and national news networks, including CBS, NBC, ABC, and CNN, and attended a dinner and program given in their honor. Near the end of that evening, women veterans were entertained by a recreation of a World War II radio program and danced to the music of the Coca-Cola Spotlight Band. On Sunday morning, a woman Army chaplain conducted a memorial service to honor and remember all of the military women of World War II who died before this salute was held. When the event ended and the veterans returned to their home states, we resumed the interviews and research that continue even as this book makes its appearance. We are honored and humbled to have conducted hundreds of hours of personal interviews with more than 70 of these frontline Army nurses. Over the years, we have become friends with many of these women, as well as other World War II veterans of the Navy Nurse Corps and other women's military branches. In 2001, we were saddened by the death of Colonel Madeline Ullum, a former Army nurse and prisoner of war of the Japanese during World War II. It was Colonel Ullum's impassioned speech to Congress in 1982 that prompted the legislature to mandate for the first time that each VA medical center and regional office appoint a women veterans coordinator, as well as establish a national Women Veterans Advisory Committee to identify and recommend ways to meet the special needs of America's female veterans. The National Advisory Committee was the first in the history of American women in the military. Before 1982, there was no government organization to advocate for women veterans. While we are saddened by Madeline's death, we're glad that our book, All This Hell, U.S. Nurses Imprisoned by the Japanese,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?